Welcome to short little video bonus topic 11, B011. We do these short little videos about topics that are related to the introduction to meditation and related to the internal map of reality that I personally feel are worth it to do a separate little video. And sometimes I'll do these same topic but in different ways, or stressing different aspects. So today's topic is a big one, and it's called self-talk, the monkey brain. Now, this is a variation of some of the messages I get from people regarding the meditative, like when they're learning to meditate, they might say, I can't stop thinking. And I hear that one a lot. I can't meditate because I can't stop thinking. Well, there's a big issue there because no one wants you to stop thinking. The idea of meditation is to enhance your thinking. And as we talked about in brainwave frequencies, that when you first initially do meditation, you slip into alpha, which is very quiet. But then you start to slip into theta, which is much more active. So you would actually notice an increase in mental activity, and that might include a lot of self-talk. But the self-talk I'm talking about today has to do with what you normally would experience in a day-to-day experience. It may also happen when you meditate, but the one that I think is quite dramatic is the type of self-talk we have on a regular basis. Now, this is sometimes referred to as monkey brain or an overactive brain that is really just monkey business. What is it doing? It's just sort of causing trouble, stirring up like a monkey on your back. If you've been to some countries where monkeys are allowed to roam free, they steal your hat, they'll take your purse, they're just really into everything. Well, this self-talk is kind of like that. So we want to talk about what that is and then look into some of the problems and issues that people, myself included, everyone will experience. So there are issues with self-talk. We want to fix those. There is a process with the subconscious that if I haven't mentioned it in great detail yet, I will, and we'll be repeating it, and it's this. With every frame that your subconscious presents to you, you will have the opportunity to accept or reject. With every frame, and particularly the frames I'm thinking of are the ones that will make you change your behavior or change your mental state. Before it's activated, you have the opportunity to accept or reject. It's your choice. Now, if you don't take that ability to accept or reject, the subconscious will act on it. So it's kind of like what they used to call reverse negative advertising, where you get an ad or an email or a letter saying if you don't respond to this letter or this email, your charge, your monthly fee for whatever it might be, your cell phone, is going to go up, and it's going to include these services. So your subconscious is very good at that. It will allow you to reject or accept. And this leads us into how can you make your self-talk a power frame, because now you know that the words that you hear are one of the modes of thinking. But there are 6 modes of thinking, right? So you can incorporate the knowledge of that to make a power frame. If you have a very persistent self-talk that you're trying to overcome, you may need to call on your other modes of thinking to subdue it or to change it. And finally, a big one is repetition. Now, we mentioned about why repeating your meditation practice as frequently as possible is what builds strength. Doing anything frequently builds more neural pathways. It's all about your nervous system. So every time you repeat something, you strengthen it. And this also applies to your self-talk. If you are constantly repeating positive self-talk to yourself, it's going to grow on you. It may not feel natural at first, but it will grow. So let's go into it. So monkey brain. And I have our friend here, Homer, and he has a monkey brain. And some of the features of the monkey brain is that it is obviously verbal for most people, although there was a study done recently where a lot of people don't even recognize that they have verbal self-talk until they are actually asked to look or listen. So it's normally a verbal dialogue. Now, it can be in other forms. It can be a physical sensation you get. It can be a sound that you hear. It could be a visual thing that you get. But for most people, it's words. You hear the words, and it's frequent. It happens for some people all the time. Now, you have to listen for it. If you pay attention through your self-awareness and self-meditation, you will become aware of this dialogue, and you will begin to notice that, wow, I really say that to myself a lot. Here's the dig. Often, for some people, it's negative. And it's the negative self-talk that we want to address. If you have positive self-talk and your self-talk is really self-affirming, hey, leave it alone. It's great. You may want to bump it up some more. But if you have a positive frame that you're projecting, great. But if you don't, we want to be able to correct that so you can be more effective. The thing is that it may appear that this self-talk is irrelevant. You might think, well, why am I thinking this now? But it's not. It's usually tied back to something in your past along your timeline. And we're going to talk about that later. So what are the problems and issues? Well, when it is a negative thing or a lowering of your self-esteem, and you hear people, if you listen, you'll hear these, I'm stupid, no one likes me. I can't do that. I'll never be able to do that. I'm an idiot, right? And you'll quite often will hear it if you listen to the words in the voice of someone that has authority. And this is just listen to the voice. And so what we'll be talking about later in our when we talk about strategies for motivation is that when you have self-talk that's very limiting, you can change that voice to one that is one that you won't respond to. So the thing is with these, they can distract you. You can be about to do something that's really important, and all of a sudden you're distracted because you have this self-talk that takes you away from your focus. And as I indicated before, is that these self-talk, particularly the negative ones, the ones that have issues, go back to a root cause event. And so we've been talking about root cause events a lot, and we'll be doing the timeline cleanse exercise to help neutralize the root cause events, because they will be persistent. And the thing to understand is that whether you are consciously aware of this self-talk, you probably are repeating it. If you hear it once, there's a good likelihood you're hearing it or saying it to yourself a lot. So what can you do? Well, the subconscious is very, very kind. The subconscious really wants to help you and wants you to heal. So what the subconscious will do, it will present to you a frame and will give you a moment to accept or reject that frame. So you might get a frame that says, I can't do that. Your subconscious will give you the opportunity to take that and say, no, I can do that. But it's just brief, and it's only if you're paying attention. If you're distracted and you're not paying attention, then the frame that the subconscious presents to you will activate. And again, this goes back to our root cause. because the subconscious is really just trying to protect you. So it will be constantly trying to prevent you from re-experiencing, say, a root cause event. It doesn't want you to experience that again. So it will be presenting frames to you to help you avoid it. So this persistence is what's important. But the thing is that if you are persistent and reject, if it's a negative self-talk, you can reject it and change it. So how do you do that? Well, you use your power frames. And we've been talking about power frames all along. And if you haven't been working with power frames, start working with them. You can go back and look at the power frame modules, and they'll be in a lot of the bonus topics and in the exercises. But if you want to install some self-talk, it's perfectly okay. So how do you do it? Well, you pick a desired outcome. If you want to be successful, if you want to be happy, if you want to be loved, if you want to find a new job, if you want to find another place to live, whatever it might be that you would want to do, well, you focus on that and focus on the desired outcome you want. Remember when we talked about the roads of the road, the rules of the road? Is you steer where you want to go. You look where you want to go. If you're looking at the center line, that's where you will steer. If you're looking at the guardrail, that's where you will steer. So steer where you're looking, okay? And don't be afraid to take a chance. Trust yourself, right? Love yourself. Take that chance to really, really, really project what you want. What's the best possible outcome? Why shoot for something less? So if you want you want a new job, well, think about you having the number one most inspiring job that you could ever have, and see yourself doing it, right? Project that out there, right? Take a chance. So it is connected to your future goals. So if you have something you want, you might have self-talk telling you can't get it or you won't get it, right? Be persistent, be relentless. And every time you have that self-talk, reject it or accept it, depending on whether it's beneficial or resourceful. If it's not resourceful, you can change it and reject it and replace it with a power thought, with a power frame of what you want. Now, I can't stress this enough, is that initially when you're doing this, when you're trying to change a self-talk itinerary or self-talk frame, it is not going to want to go easily. It will come back. But you need to be stronger and more relentless than that. You need to show your subconscious that you mean business by always rejecting it if it's a negative self-talk. Always replacing it, right? Change the can't to a can. And you have to do it repeatedly. But then, at some point, it goes away. At some point, you've changed. We're going to be talking about the change process later on, but right now, just understand that this isn't a one-time event. You have to do it every time. And I often say the difference between someone who is successful and someone who fails is that the successful person does not stop. They continue. They are relentless, and they keep going. So be repetitive with your positive self-talk. Be relentless. Be that warrior, right? And take it to the next level. Okay, well, that's our chit-chat for the bonus topic. And, if you have questions about it, feel free to reach out and email me. Or if you're a Patreon, you can just message me through the Patreon system. So have fun, and we will see you in the next session.